Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Time is running out because the virus is still spreading everywhere. People are getting restless to leave their homes, and we have to make critical decisions on how to balance the economy and science.
That right there is Dr. Bright. Disgruntled, angry employee, says one Donald Trump.
I watched this guy for a little while this morning. To me, he's nothing more than a really disgruntled, unhappy person. But there are a lot of people that do not like the job he did. I don't know him. I never met him. I don't want to meet him. But I watched him, and he looks like an angry, disgruntled employee.
Yeah. Was he? I'm sure there was a bit of that. Did you meet him? I don't know. Did he go up there and talk about how bad this is going to be, where we're headed, where we're not headed? This could be it.
There will be likely a resurgence of COVID-19 this fall. It'll be greatly compounded by the challenges of seasonal influenza. Without better planning, 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history.
He's exciting and just full of bright, just scratches the excitement that's in his world. I don't know where this is going. What I do know is we need to figure out the path that we're going to take. From the moment we all decided the path was going to be restrict, shelter in place, shut down, I said, once we decide what part 2 is going to be, the path that we're going to take, you better stick to the path. Meaning once we start to open up, whether it be trickle or whether it be we're going for it, you have to stay the course. You have to stay the course. I don't know how long this is going to go on for. Could it be seasonal? Meaning, if you watch the flu, if you go and just look at charts of the flu, because that's what a lot of people have done, look at it. The flu just kind of abruptly just tails off and disappears. Cases, and gone. Even the Spanish flu. Within a month, it was gone. Just never to return. Just bye. Now, there were waves of the Spanish flu. First wave, bad. Second wave, awful. Third wave, not so bad, and then disappear. And partly because we had built up such an immunity to the flu that it kind of had nowhere to go. The people that survived having it had built up an immunity, and when you get to a certain level of mass that has the antibodies, it's kind of like it has nowhere else to go. But it was seasonal. There was waves for a reason. Because is this thing going to be here forever? I couldn't tell you. What I do know is it's affecting everything. Economy, retail. Ugly as it gets. I mean, ugly. Ugly, ugly. I just posted in the old Twitter. I'm going to give you guys what they were expecting and what we got. They were expecting bad, but not this bad. 16.4% fall in retail sales. Far worse than they predicted. Our economy is about $21.5 trillion. 70% of our economy is that retail consumer expenditures. So to see that fall off, to see that crash like that, really brings in, because when you look at the economy, we've talked about all kinds of things in the economy, but over the years, we've always talked about the confidence in the economy. If you feel good about your job, if you feel good that your job's safe, chances are you feel good about being able to go out and spend a little bit more money, being able to go out and consume, eat dinner out, buy some appliances, things that you need, go out and get a car. That's a big thing. That right there shows me that we don't feel good. Now, is some of that because of the fear of the unknown? And I'm not just talking about the virus itself. I'm talking about the fear of the unknown being, if we open up now, I think I'll be okay. But I don't know if you're going to close me down again. And if you close me down again, then no. This is going to be ugly. So for a lot of people out there, even though they may be in a position to maybe spend some money, even though they may be in a position to go out and not only purchase, but consume everything from food and restaurants to just getting back out there and living as they did before COVID, they're wary because they don't know what the next step is going to be from the governors across the nation. And that's a tough thing of all the parts. So you've got the health side of it, people that are afraid, who, even if the economy opens today, will not go outside, not because they don't have the money to consume, but fear because of their health. You have people that don't have the opportunity, even if the economy opened today everywhere, to consume because over the last 2 months, they have been hit so hard financially, they may be digging out of this for several months. And then you have the people that psychologically are okay with the potential of the risk that's out there, but their psychological side of it, consumer-wise, is they're unsure what the government may do next, and they can't afford another shutdown. So rather than spend, even though they're capable of it, they'll hold back. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program. Governor Inslee, Washington State.
And what we have learned from epidemiologists is that the way to squash a pandemic is to reduce the mobility of people.
Is that what it is? That's the way that you squash the pandemic? Is that true? This is the World Health Organization yesterday talking about this very situation.
This is what we all fear, is a vicious cycle of public health disaster followed by economic disaster, followed by public health disaster, followed by economic disaster. There is some magical thinking going on that lockdowns work perfectly. Just putting in place swinging lockdowns can do as much harm as good if it's not done carefully. This virus may become just another endemic virus in our communities, and this virus may never go away. HIV has not gone away, but we've come to terms with the virus, and we have found the therapies, and we've found the prevention methods, and people don't feel as scared as they did before.
That's not the end all to be though. Lockdowns have its own risk. And when you say lockdown, the risk comes in many different things. When you say the word lockdown, it makes people feel like I'm being punished. Nobody wants that. It's not a good thing to do. And they've said it, and so is the CDC and everyone else. Dr. Fauci said, I don't know if it's going to come back. I don't know if it's going to go away. I don't know if we're going to have a vaccine. They don't know any of those things. So what then? Because telling people that they have to, quote unquote, be locked down isn't going to make them feel good. And that's where the pushback starts to happen. Even people out there who are reticent to go outside because they're nervous, they have their breaking point at some point too. The local show I do, my on-air partner, he and I are polar opposites. I think that we need to have people who have comorbidities, who have true underlying conditions, and people that are older, 65 plus. And here's the thing. We use that thing with 65 plus. Part of that is because those are kind of the age range in the world of even advertising, right? You have 6 plus, you have, 0 to 18, but in life, the way they work it is like 18 to 34, 34 to 54, and then, 55 to 65, and then 65 plus. There's a lot of people that are well into their 60s who have no health problems and are totally healthy and have no problem going out there. We know who this strikes. We understand who this strikes. Doesn't mean it doesn't strike some people, and younger people or healthier people, but the majority of people that get this and have real issues, we know who they are. So we're going to have to start making decisions. And when you tell people they're locked down, and you've got a 32-year-old who has who's got a wife and a family, and they're getting over it, and even if they believe that yes, this is good, we're doing everything we can to mitigate it, they too will have their breaking point. And my on-air partner, Gatos, he's like that. He thinks that we should be sheltering in place, locked down. You shouldn't be going out to restaurants, 6 feet of this, wear a mask every time you can. But he also recognizes that there will come a point in time, and it's getting closer on a daily basis, that he's even starting to say, okay, at what point do we finally have to say we're going to have to move on from this? we're going to have to do that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. This guy's hilarious. So his name is JL Colvin. See him on like the Twitter and the Instagram. He does the best Trump around. And this is so awesome.
It's happening, okay? We are partially reopening Mar-a-Lago, my great property in Florida. Whites only is going to be the partial reopen, okay? And it's okay. It's not, excuse me. No, you're asking a nasty question. Racist? It's not a racist policy. I'm the least racist person in this room for health. We're not letting the groups that are getting like sicker in at first.
He's not done.
And they say these communities of color, you heard this phrase? They're getting affected more, so we're asking them nicely. We're doing it very nicely. Mike, didn't I say? I said to that Mexican man to get the hell off of my Mar-a-Lago property. Please. I said, please. Mike knows. I said, please. Not to you. I won't say please to you. You're nasty. But we're reopening it. Mexican and black staff, they have to maintain 60 feet social distancing. But that was always the policy at Mar-a-Lago. So nothing's changed there.
That guy's so good. His facial expressions are awesome. 60 feet. It's always the policy. I said, please. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Love hearing from you. Raycons. I've got my Raycons. Love my Raycons. Wear them. I got to take phone calls a lot during the day. I've got all kinds of meetings, Zoom meetings, which are, if you've ever done any of these and you have these headphones that are, they've got the wire and you go to pull back and they'll pop out. They're so annoying. They really are. And maybe you've got the ones with the stems and that just looks, you don't want those. E25s from Raycon, 6 hours of talk time, seamless Bluetooth pairing, better sound, the nice noise isolating fit and design. So it's cool looking. They're comfortable, the most comfortable. You won't even know they're there. It's awesome. And here's the great thing. The ones with the stems are $150 or $200 for this, and it's got this name and that name. And these sound better, more comfortable, start well under $100. Boom. Get your Raycons now, the E25s. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
I know nothing about those moves to investigate Michael Flynn, number one. Number two, this is all about diversion. This is a game this guy plays all the time. The country is in crisis. We're in an economic crisis, a health crisis. We're in real trouble. He should stop trying to always divert attention from the real concerns of the American people. The American people are worried with good reason. He has acted irresponsibly from the very beginning. He continues to act irresponsibly. He hasn't done his job. This is all about diverting attention.
Said the guy who just diverted attention. If you guys haven't followed the story, people within the Biden and Obama administration and the former dude, they unmasked and then stuff got out about Flynn. There's some splaining to do. Let's be honest. There is some serious splaining to do. It's not just always, look, with Trump, I understand people say, it's always a conspiracy theory. They're always out to get him. They're always out to get him. And sometimes it's overblown. And sometimes there's some serious questions that need to be asked, and very few people are asking the questions that I think are fair to ask.
You were reported to be at a January 5th, 2017 meeting where you and the president were briefed on the FBI's plan to question Michael Flynn over those conversations he had with the Russian ambassador.
Now, I thought you asked me whether or not I had anything to do with him being prosecuted. I was aware that they asked for an investigation, but that's all I know about it. Look, think about this. Can you imagine any other president of the United States focusing on this at the moment when the country is just absolutely concerned about their health? We have an economic crisis. We have a health crisis. This is all about diverting attention.
Again, you don't want to answer the question that needs to be answered. It's a fair question to ask. That's it. It's a fair question. Were there issues with Flynn? Absolutely. Is he without sin? No. Did he lie? Yeah. Was that lie a crime? You can debate that all day. You can. You can debate that all day, whether the lie itself was an actual crime. Lying, see, here's the funny thing. In theory, if you lie to the FBI, even if it has nothing to do with anything illegal, that lying in itself could be a crime. So, and that's what they've kind of argued, and that people are looking at the Department of Justice, and is that, hey, hold on a second. Yeah, he did lie, and he lied to the vice president. For that, he should have been canned immediately. In saying that, was the lie itself about something even relevant towards this? Well, that's a fair question. And when it comes to Biden and all of them, what were you guys doing? Questions that need to be answered, but they also need to be asked. And I don't know if they're going to be asked. Biden's worst situation is the fact that he really can't get out there and do anything to campaign. But it's also a big helper for him, because the Tara Reid and this will all eventually go away, because everybody's hyper-focused on something that has nothing to do with Biden and Flynn and Manafort and Barr, which is COVID-19, the coronavirus, a global pandemic that is not only killing people, it's destroying economies globally and setting back countries like ours potentially a decade. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's too dangerous to go over to a friend's house and be in their living room for an hour right now. It's that indoor situation just spreads the virus.
Governor Inslee, it's too dangerous to hang out with your friends. The only time I've ever heard this, and producer Phil, maybe you and I are generationally the same. Do you remember back in the day when the Corey Haim and Corey Feldman were so out of control that the judge told them one time that they couldn't hang out with each other anymore?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, see, that's the only time I've ever heard of that. When the Coreys were so bad. COVID is not the Coreys. Can't hang out with your friends. Governor Inslee said that. Let me tell you, makes people feel like you're controlling them. We're adults. He says this.
We need still people to make individual judgments about what's really necessary to do right now. And if it's really not, and you're going to be inside exposed to other people, try to avoid it.
But it's your judgment, isn't it? I mean, in the world that we live in, we have freedoms. And for safety's sake, people are like, hey, let's get rid of some of those freedoms we have. Freedoms that I'm very respectful. If the place says wear a mask to come into this thing, I will wear a mask. My life hasn't changed all that much. It really hasn't. I get up extra early. So here's my morning. Up about 2:15, 2:30. Get up, check on the reptiles, feed what needs to be fed, do the things I need to do there, maybe a little bit of a workout, off to work. Then I don't get home till 7 o'clock at night. And it's relax, check on the reptiles, hang out with the family for a little bit, go to bed, rinse, repeat. That was my life before. That's my life now. I work in my studio in the morning by myself. I see the same 6 or 8 people a day, and that's about it. I've been here at work for about 4 or 5 hours. I haven't seen but 2 people. I had to go over to the other side to get some ice. And my buddy Jim brings in donuts on a Friday, and I grab some donuts. But my life hasn't changed that much, minus the fact that I can't go see my son every other weekend, and he's not, but he was out here for a month. But if somebody asked me to do something because I respect other people, I would do that. And it's about having respect and making individual choices. But I'm also not ridiculous. I'm not going to wear a mask in the car if you require me to wear a mask. If you pull me over and you want to see my papers and ask me where I'm going to and if I'm an essential employee, kiss my ass. If you want me to come inside when I order food and you want all my information, again, kiss my butt. It's not going to happen. I can respect, but don't tell me I can't hang out with my neighbor. Don't tell me I can't visit my mom. Don't tell me that this is the stuff that pisses people off. Dave Portnoy, founder of Barstool Sports. Barstool Sports is huge. It's blown up. He's very libertarian-like. He's very outspoken. And this stuff is spot on.
When did this become flatten the curve, flatten the curve, flatten the curve to we have to find a cure or everyone's going to die? Like Fauci, seems like a nice enough dude. I've always been like, oh, no agenda. Looks like he could be maybe the grandfather in Wedding Crashers. Gets in front of the Senate. He's like, we reopen the country too quick, everyone's dead. Where'd that come from? And the LA mayor, we're not opening the city till we find a cure? What? Find a cure? Who says we're going to find a cure? We haven't found a cure to cancer. It took AIDS 20 years or whatever. Do we even have a cure? So the economy just shut down?
He's spot on. So that's where we are now, is to find a cure. Garcetti. We've never really been open or closed, and we're never really going to be open until we find a cure. Do you remember that? Do you remember that insanity of what he said?
We've never been fully closed. We'll never be completely open until we have a cure.
There may not be a cure. Goalpost moving. Goalpost moving drives people crazy.
All we've heard forever, flatten the curve, make sure there's hospital beds. We're there. Now all of a sudden it's like a 180. This is like taking a cross-country flight, 6 hours. They tell you flight 6 hours. 5 hours and a half go by. They get on the intercom like, oh, just kidding. We have another 10 hours. You can't do that. People have been mentally preparing. We're doing what you ask. We've done exactly what you said. Now you're changing the rule.
And that angers people. That's why when we talk about the economy and going and spending money, people are worried, even if they have the opportunity, even if they have a need and a want, because the consumer world that we live in, with the consumer today, the retail spending down 16.4% last month, bigger than experts predicted. Both need and want, but want drives the economy as much as need does. And somebody may want something, but out of fear of they're not quite sure what you're going to do now because what you've told us hasn't aligned with the things that you said we were going to do. You told us this, we did this, and all of a sudden now you're starting to move some goalposts. Even in situations where maybe they shouldn't be reopening, the economy based on the way that they told you they were going to do it, and they said, well, we're just moving forward with it anyways. But you can't move the goalpost on people. I told producer Anthony, if you go watch videos or interviews of people that were hostages for a long time, people that were, whether it was FARC, people that were held hostage in the Middle East, there was a lot during the 80s. There were a ton of times that journalists and foreign workers were taken hostage by several radical groups, And unlike ISIS, they weren't murdered. But what happened over and over again, there would be times when they would tell them to get dressed. They would tell them to get ready. Today's the day they're going to go home. They get excited. And they said, no, not today. And after a while, they just gave up hope. And that's something you've got to watch because, as we say here on our show, over and over again, people have a breaking point. People have a breaking point.
I would rather die from corona than have to start over, work a 9 to 5, fight. How are you going to get a job? How are you going to put money on your family's table when the economy is going to be gone? So that was really the rant. It's at the very least, I feel bad for people who aren't given the choice. What's worse, losing my business, my livelihood, or the chance of getting this disease?
And I think people are asking themselves that question. They're asking themselves that very question. What's worse? Nobody wants to get this, but don't we take a risk every day? During flu season, we take a risk. Well, this is worse than the flu. Yeah, this is worse than the flu. Is it that much worse than the flu? We'll never know the real numbers. But the one thing the flu doesn't do is it doesn't destroy our economy. And it's interesting. New study came out this week. 75,000 Americans will also die because of COVID, having nothing to do with the actual virus itself, but because of the effects on the economy to the virus, suicide, addiction, alcoholism. But because it's not COVID, in a sense, it's almost like their lives aren't the same, and frustrating people to no end. And I get what he's saying there. I think as adults, we need to make choices. And I think some of these states that are reopening are doing it in a very different way. Some of them are doing it even in the face of numbers that aren't on their side. And I think part of that is because you have to give that hope. You ever shaken up a bottle, like with Coke or something in it, like a soda, or it's fallen on the ground? You're like, well, I want to drink it. So if you open it really quick, it explodes, and you don't want that to happen because it can't, because then it's a mess. So what you do is you just kind of open the cap a little bit, let the air out, it bubbles to the top, close it, open it, close it, open it, close it, just letting the pressure out. I think some governors are taking that approach right now because I think they feel like the top at any time could explode. And that's a real possibility. And a second shutdown is going to be worse. But when you pick the path that you're going to go on, you better stick to that path. And if you don't give people hope, if you don't give people the opportunity to see a light at the end of the tunnel, and you change the goalpost over and over again, you're going to find out that they're not Charlie Brown. They're not going to always buy it. They're not going to run up and kick it. Well, may kick it, but it won't be the ball. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me, text the program as well. Gabby.com gives you an opportunity to find out if you are paying too much or the right amount for things like car and homeowners insurance. It's so easy. It takes about 2 minutes. It gives you apples-to-apples comparison on your current coverage with 40 of the top insurers, Progressive, Nationwide, Travelers, just to name a few. Now, I went on, took 2 minutes. I linked my account info. And within 2 minutes, I found out that I was overpaying for car insurance. Spot on in my homeowner's insurance. Spot on. $825 per year on average is what Gabby customers save. They're never going to sell your info, so no annoying spam or robocalls. And again, it is totally free to check your rate. No obligation. It takes 2 minutes right now. See how much you can save on your car and homeowner's insurance. Go to Gabby.com/Benson. That's GABI.com/Benson. Gabby.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Another major studio release skipping theaters and coming straight to home streaming.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo!
Scoob is an animated Scooby-Doo adventure with big-time stars doing the voices, including Will Forte, Zac Efron, Amanda Seyfried, Tracy Morgan, and more. That's available for rental Friday. Sunday night on ESPN, it's the final 2 episodes of the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls docuseries The Last Dance. And also Sunday night, it's the finale of American Idol on ABC, followed by the concert special Taylor Swift, City of Lover.
That sounds awful. Scoob? I watched some of the trailers. I'm like, that's done. It's not Casey Kasem. Somebody can at least try. Just because you can get big stars doesn't make it. Like, could you imagine, like, so Transformer movies. Peter Cullen is the voice of him, right? I am Peter Cullen. His voice is awesome. Like, what would you get somebody in there and you're like, okay, we're just going to get somebody who's an amazing actor. And Peter is an amazing actor, but it's his voice, right? And you bring him in to play this character as opposed to having that. And I've listened and I've seen some of this, and I thought, I kind of want Scooby and Shaggy to be Scooby and Shaggy. You can get away with the other 3. But Doink Scoob, it's and they're like, ha 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 ha, it's me, Scooby. We'll see how it goes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. This weekend, the eyes of the sports world will be on the Bundesliga that kicks off in Germany. People are going to watch it to see, first of all, what's it like to see a stadium that can hold 60,000 have nobody? How do people celebrate when they score a goal? Do they celebrate at all? Some of the things that we're going to be looking at as we move forward and we try to figure out how we work sports in here.
When they score a goal, how do they celebrate? Where's the social distancing there? We're hearing in Korean baseball, in Taiwan baseball leagues, no spitting, no sunflower seeds. What little intricacies are they trying to change? I'm hearing the coaches and the players on the bench will all have masks on. You're going to see temporary subs of 5 now versus the mandatory 3, not mandatory, but the 3, the limit of 3 that is traditionally in soccer. So there's been a few different things to try to help it, but there's going to be all eyes on whether or not Germany can pull this off, and quite frankly, I think they do.
Yeah. And why it matters, if you like the NFL, it's kind of comparable to what the NFL would have. There's about 1,700 players from the 2 leagues, and the NFL wants to see how the testing goes, how the playing goes, because that's the thing that's coming back. NBA's still not back. NHL don't think is coming back. Major League Baseball is having more than a few issues. And as we all know, yesterday, we talked a bit about Mr. Snell, Blake Snell, talking about what he will and won't do and what he's not going to do.
If I get the Rona, on top of that, if I get the Rona, guess what happens with that? Oh, yeah, that's in my body forever. That damage is not going to be like the damage that was done to my body, that's going to be there forever. So now I got to play with that on top of that. So y'all got to understand, man, for me to take a pay cut is not happening because the risk is through the roof. It's a shorter season, less pay. Like, bro, yeah, man, I gotta get my money. I'm not playing unless I get mine.
That's ridiculous. It is. In a time when unemployment is nearing historic levels, depression era, you're arguing over playing half a season where you're putting your life at risk. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, and the reaction from a lot of people inside of baseball, some players are like, yeah, but a lot of other people are like, this is ridiculous.
This is the ugliness manifesting itself, and it's particularly ugly because what he's trying to say is, if you pay me my full salary, I'm okay going out there and risking my life. But if you take like $1 million off of it, maybe not so much. And I'm sorry, that logic just doesn't stand up. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
True. That's Jeff Passan right there. And I will. I look at this and I say to myself, baseball's got the biggest to gain and biggest to lose. You're not. You may be the nation's pastime, but the reality is football's king. Basketball's second. You're third. Soccer and hockey are fourth and fifth. Some people have never forgiven you from the strike. Never. Of all the times to play hardball and do these things in a pandemic, when people need something to look forward to, when you have an opportunity to have a spotlight on yourself in a way that you haven't in a very long time, when you have the opportunity to get out there and to do something not only for the love of the game, but for what this country has given you and get paid ridiculous for it. We're not asking you to sacrifice. And that's the rant you have. Hey, I don't begrudge people for getting theirs. But you've got an opportunity to put yourself out there as well to get yours in the future, to market yourself, to become something even bigger. You're stepping over $100 bills to pick up $50 bills. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. That's your Twitter, kids. Happy Friday. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
While 3 out of 4 Americans say there still isn't enough testing, and more than 2/3 saying it's not safe for children to head back to school, there are some activities many Americans are willing to do. More than 90% saying it's okay to head back to the supermarket. 71% say they'll go back to work, and a majority, 56%, are ready to get their hair cut.
Yeah, haircuts are big. I talked to Alex Stone, I think it was yesterday from ABC News. He's like, Chad, I can't go 3 more months without a haircut. So I know, bro. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm bald, so I shave my head. I like it. It's easy. I don't have to worry about anything. Let me tell you how long it does to do my hair in the morning. Go. That's it. How long does it take me to dry my hair? Go. I was starting to lose tufts anyways of hair. But I was like, shave my head, and I love it. So maybe that's going to be the rage, the corona baldness. The polls are interesting, though. They are interesting. And it's interesting. COVID has become one of those things. We were chatting about this yesterday with my buddy Gatos, who we do a show together. And Gatos and I were chatting about the fact that it's politics and religion you don't talk about at the dinner table. COVID has become that other thing. It's become political to the point of who wears mask and who doesn't wear mask, right? Who's a patriot and who's not a patriot? See, if you go outside and you don't wear a mask and you demand that everything is opened, you're a patriot. And other people say, no, if you stay inside and you protect people and you listen to the government, you're a patriot. Where is it? Stop putting people in boxes. People aren't heroes. They're trying to feed their families. Oddly enough, I've got 2 friends who are on the polar opposites. And we're all good friends. We all love each other. We do, but they are the polar opposites of each other when it comes to the political world. My uber conservative friend thinks we should wear masks all the time. Is worried about a lot of different things when it comes to this, thinks we need to hunker down. And then my friend, who is the exact opposite, uber left wing, just super progressive, like Bernie wasn't far enough left, thinks this is just a bunch of crap. It's all a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of baloney. And it's funny watching them argue over stuff like this. New poll. 79 or 73% of Dems wear masks. 59% of Republicans wear masks. What is that? We find stuff to fight over silly things like testing and masks and did you wear it? Even watching some of these Senate things, that these Skype version Senates. So you'll have a few of the senators and their people that work with them inside of the hearing rooms. And the Democrats all have masks on. And then the people on the right and the Republicans, none of them have masks on. And you're just like, okay. Do you think it's a hoax, Chad? I do not think it's a hoax. Is the world coming to an end, Dr. Bright?
Time is running out because the virus is still spreading everywhere. People are getting restless to leave their homes, and we have to make critical decisions on how to balance the economy and science.
Yeah, we do. We have to make critical decisions. Do I think time is running out? Well, what do you mean by that?
There will be likely a resurgence of COVID-19 this fall. It'll be greatly compounded by the challenges of seasonal influenza. Without better planning, 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history.
That's a little crazy. Could it be? Yeah, I would assume it's going to be an ugly winter, especially if it's seasonal. I could absolutely see, especially in certain parts of the country, maybe not all parts of the country, stay-at-home orders still here. Totally. Not everywhere, but I could see that. Do I think it's the darkest? I'm going to put 2020 as a pretty low point on my like, if you were to ask me, can I rate these years? This is not at the top of the list. For the country. It's not. It's not at the top of the list. It's an ugly part, and it's an ugly year, but this is the worst time in history. No, it's the best time in history. We're going through a bad time this year. 25 years ago, and they did this. That's crazy. Physically distancing from people, well, at least you have ways to reach out and talk to people in ways you never had before. I was talking yesterday to one of the news ladies, and she's like, her dad lives out by me. It's a very rural area. And we were chatting, and I said, have you been out to see your dad? She goes, no, we haven't. And she goes, but the good thing is we could FaceTime every day. Imagine if we didn't have that. We had 13 channels, no video games, no anything. Kids can't go outdoors the way that we're, normally used to letting them do that. Schools are shut down. So this is the best time, but this is a worse situation. How do we move from point A to point B? One thing we need to do, and this is Dave Portnoy. He is the founder of Barstool Sports. He said you can't change the rules, and feels like that's what they're doing.
When did this become flatten the curve, flatten the curve, flatten the curve to we have to find a cure or everyone's going to die? Like Fauci. Seems like a nice enough dude. I've always been the guy, no agenda. Looks like he could be maybe the grandfather in Wedding Crashers. Gets in front of the Senate. He's like, we reopen the country too quick, everyone's dead. Where'd that come from? And the LA mayor. We're not opening the city till we find a cure? What? Find a cure? Who says we're going to find a cure? We haven't found a cure to cancer. It took AIDS 20 years or whatever. Do we even have a cure? So the economy's just shut down?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what it feels like in some places. What do you mean? We may never be open? Are you saying that for real? And that is what Mayor Garcetti of Los Angeles said.
We've never been fully closed. We'll never be completely open until we have a cure.
You can't sustain life in an economy like that. This is impossible. It is impossible to do that. You need to give people hope. That's what we try to do. I'm a glasses half full kind of guy. Opportunities are here for us to do something that is so amazing when it comes to hopefully finding a vaccine for this thing. But the way that we've gone about globally fighting hard, trying things that you would think would take forever to do has been amazing. The resilience of the American people, the resilience of the globe, people doing everything they can, stepping outside of their own selves to help their neighbors and their friends, has been awesome. There's frustrations. Of course there is. You're telling people they have to stay indoors. They can't go outside. They're watching their bank accounts dwindle. They're falling further and further in debt. Their businesses are going away. Yeah, but we are going to get there. We are. And it is frustrating as hell. Man, I tell you what, I'm as frustrated as everybody else is. Seeing some of my friends struggle, seeing my friends' businesses go down, hearing of places that I used to love to go and frequent as far as, eating at restaurants, close for good. It has been tough for everybody. So we've got to figure out how we do this together. But what you can't do if you're a leader is change the goalpost. You got to be transparent. The one thing I'll say about Mayor Garcetti is at least he came out and said, look, if this thing gets worse after we kind of reopen, I'll shut it down again, where many other people aren't saying that. I don't think that's the right path. I think at some point in time you have to say we're going to have to move forward. We've done everything we possibly can this direction, and it's not working. And at some point in time, no matter how much money we print, we're going to run out of it. And think about the thing that we're leaving our grandkids. I know you won't know them, and neither will I, but we're going to leave them so much debt. It's insane. It really is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program. Everybody's looking for new things, right? We're all looking for stuff. Movies are closed. Even when they're opening movie theaters, what are they showing? Nothing's coming out. Sports, there's been a huge bump in excitement and in Korean baseball. Who knows what's happening with Major League Baseball? They're whining, bitching, and moaning about it, a lot of the players. You got the Bundesliga, which kicks off this weekend. College sports is up in the air. The NFL still has time to figure stuff out, and who knows what will be 3-4 months from now. But one thing is coming back here in America, and that is, are you ready for this? Racing, NASCAR. And they got a chance to do what other sports aren't doing, which is capitalize on nothing else out there that they're going to have to compete against.
There's one other thing here that's vital, and that is the opportunity to show Wednesday night primetime racing. And they're going to get to do that starting on the 20th at Darlington.
That's pretty cool. So you're going to have racing Wednesday night. I'm not a huge race fan. I'll watch some of the big races every once in a great while, but I'm not a huge race fan. But to have that opportunity to have Wednesday night domination, that's why it said golf. It's so silly that golf didn't say, hey, let's continue. These are the things we're going to have in place. There isn't physical contact. And you could have dominated. You could have put stuff in prime time. People would have watched that. Absolutely. If Tiger and Phil Mickelson did it again, and they're going to tee up again for that charity thing, but if they did that again, the ratings would be massive. They would be huge. Huge. It would be. So NASCAR is going to capitalize on that. Good for them. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Tweet at us. Wounded Paw Project. Man, they're inundated. So when it started, it was for veterans. They've expanded over the years to first responders and their families that they get these dogs to. And how do they get these dogs? Dogs are euthanized on a daily basis. So many of our shelters are overrun. They get calls from these shelters. They go in, they rescue a dog that would be euthanized, train it to become a service dog, get them to our veterans, first responders, and their family. And they need your help. Training these animals is expensive. They're looking for any kind of help you could give. You could set your supporting group at smile.amazon.com to Wounded Paw Project. And you can also donate a car, truck, RV, boat. If it flies or floats, they'll take it. The proceeds of that will go to protect, advocate, and train shelter dogs and turn them into service dogs for veterans, first responders, and their family. Find out how you can help out by going to woundedpawproject.org. That's woundedpawproject.org. Woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Trending on this Friday. Scooby-Doo. It's out today, not in theaters, because there's no theaters to go to. Scoob movie night. Doink Scoob. 6.5 magnitude earthquake. Shook Nevada. Shook it, baby. Absolutely shook Nevada. Big time. Chad. 16.4% in April. That's how much retail sales fail. That's on Twitter. Head on over to the magical, crazy world of the Google. Epic Games was down for hours yesterday. The biggest trending thing yesterday. As people tried to get Grand Theft Auto for free. Crashed. Rick Bright, Blake Snell, the baseball player who said he refuses to play for a portion of his salary to risk his life. It's ridiculous. But he'll risk his life for everything. If you're going to pay him the whole thing, he is on it. He's there. Just there. So funny. I do find that to be hilarious. Like, so you won't play because you worry about getting sick, right? So that's your fear, is you worry, you're putting your life at risk. So you're not going to play for it whatsoever.
Y'all got to understand, too, because y'all going to be like, bro, Blake, play for the love of the game, man. What's wrong with you, bro? Money should not be a thing. Bro, I'm risking my life. What do you mean it should not be a thing? It 100% should be a thing.
If it was a 50-50 thing, I'd be like, I get it. You're 27 years old, pretty good shape. I mean, it's baseball. So it's not like we're asking you to run, but I mean, you're in great shape. He is. I'm joking. He's in great shape. You have all of the amenities you could have ever dreamed for. And I get that you're only getting a portion of your salary, but that is ridiculous. It is. Absolutely ridiculous.
Blake Snell's going to be making $7 million in the 2020 season. If it gets cut down on a prorated basis, it's about $3.5 million if they play half the season. Whatever haircut they take off of that, Blake Snell's still making millions of dollars. And so it's really difficult for him to go out in public and say this and generate any sympathy from people.
Yeah. You're going to get no sympathy when you've got unemployment through the roof. Almost 37 million Americans in the last 8 weeks have lost their jobs. Small businesses are teetering. People are going to food banks and waiting hours outside. Those people 3 months ago, their life was going. They were happy. They were rocking. Now they're in a place that they could not believe, and you're like, and I got to pay taxes? Like, yes. This isn't Armageddon. You're not going up to an asteroid and blowing it up. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's happening, okay? We are partially reopening Mar-a-Lago, my great property in Florida. Whites only is going to be the partial reopen, okay? And it's okay. It's not, excuse me. No, you're asking a nasty question. Racist? It's not a racist policy. I'm the least racist person in this room for health. We're not letting the groups that are getting like sicker in at first.
It's a comic. If you've not seen him, J.L. Cauvin is his name. Cauvin. He is it's spot on and it's hilarious. He's not done.
And they say these communities of color, you heard this phrase? They're getting affected more. So we're asking them nicely. We're doing it very nicely. Mike, didn't I say? I said to that Mexican man to get the hell off of my Mar-a-Lago property. Please. I said, please. Mike knows. I said, please. Not to you. I won't say please to you. You're nasty. But we're reopening it. Mexican and black staff, they have to maintain 60 feet social distancing. But that was always the policy at Mar-a-Lago. So nothing's changed there.
Come on, laugh. Stop being such weenies. Get over yourself. Laugh. Mike. Didn't I say that? I asked nicely, Mike. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. We talked yesterday about the tattle kind of software that's out there for people working at home, and the things that you can do, and businesses are trying to keep an eye on their people. Some are going the extra distance when it comes to keeping their eyes on their employees.
Private investigator Dorian Bond, and yeah, that's really his name, knows how to keep tabs and keep a low profile.
You blend in with the environment.
The coronavirus pandemic affecting nearly every business. When companies started locking their doors and sending employees home, Bond thought he'd be doing paperwork, but
calls started coming in from corporations saying, we need you to watch an executive or somebody. They're supposed to be working from home, and we can't get a hold of them ever.
Wait, what? So they're supposed to be working from home. They're getting their cash, their salary. They're making some dollars. Yo. What are they doing?
He says he recently caught executives who were supposed to be working instead teeing up on the golf course, boating and fishing on the lake, and beyond.
A top executive was having a relationship with a subordinate, and they were Zooming from the same house, but in different rooms.
That's kind of funny. That is so funny. A subordinate. So that's what they're doing. They're hiring private eyes. Private eyes. They're watching you. Producer Phil, who sang that great song? They were a duo.
Hall and Oates.
Hall and Oates. Daryl Hall. John Oates. They were supposed to be on tour. They're not on tour right now because nobody is on tour. But they are watching you.
He says it bugs him at his core when many lower-level employees have been furloughed or laid off. The solace is that whoever he's following could be next.
If I get the call, they're pretty sure it's happening. They just need the documentation evidence, so when they decide to go with the termination, they have the proof.
That's interesting. So you're golfing. What if you can't do anything? Like, what are you supposed to do? Because I know in some sense, and by the sounds of it, still it's creepy. It's weird. That's what they're doing. They do this too. If you hear this all the time where somebody will be getting disability because they hurt their back or their neck, and they'll hire people to go out and see, are you getting this? And then you're playing basketball when you should be at home, and that's what you're telling people. It sounds like what he's doing, though, is more still what I find a little intrusive. But it's not as intrusive as giving your boss access through tattleware to look at all your stuff and overdo it on a computer. Still not, as to me, as intrusive and wrong as going to a restaurant and them having to ask you, can I have your ID, your address, your email, your phone number? No, you cannot. And I'm not going to eat here now. But it's, to me, this sounds more like they're going after people who are higher ups, who are just sitting around collecting a paycheck. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Is time running out?
Time is running out because the virus is still spreading everywhere. People are getting restless to leave their homes, and we have to make critical decisions on how to balance the economy and science.
How do we do that? How do we balance all of those things? Because what you want to do, we want balance. I don't know anybody who's like, I hope everybody gets this, dies. I don't know anybody like that. It's like with climate change. You can't have a normal conversation with somebody because it's either or scenario. Either it's this or it's that. It's not. It's none of those things, right? You can see the areas that are gray, understand what the other person is saying when we're talking about, hey, we do need to do the best we can to not spread this. And it's different than the flu. Flu, while it spreads, this thing's net it can be much greater, and the effect it can have on people, especially people who have certain issues and underlying conditions, and the elderly, is massive. And the people that are worried about this can also understand what it's like to be in a position where all you're trying to do is feed your family and keep yourself afloat and keep your head above water. And it's not just the financial side. There's a mental side of this that is real. There is.
And what we have learned from the epidemiologists is that the way to squash a pandemic is to reduce the mobility of people.
Governor Inslee, Washington State. Reducing the mobility of people makes it feel like you're doing something to restrict their freedoms. And like anything, so you guys know, I collect, and I'm a reptile guy. And I'm not just like, oh, you've got one or two lizards. No, I have massive amounts of very rare lizards, large species that are bigger than me. And some of my lizards, they don't bite, but they don't want you to hold them. You can pet them, but they hate it being restricted. They want to move. They just don't. They want to move. They don't want you holding them. They want you to, it's, people get that way, and people are getting that way more and more. More and more you have them at home, and they feel like they're being punished. They feel like they're in some sort of lockdown, that you're restricting their movement. It's driving them crazy. And that's the psychological side. It's not good for them. As a species, as human beings, we are a species that wants to be social. We are a species that wants to be around other people. We are a species that likes to congregate, that likes to talk, that likes to spend time with individuals. And when you say things like this,
it's too dangerous to go over to a friend's house and be in their living room for an hour right now. It's that indoor situation just spreads the virus.
And that makes people feel like, okay, I'm stuck here. What am I going to do? You've put me in this position, and now I'm in a position where you're telling me I can't even go see my friends, even if I try to social distance and we hang out and this thing spreads in the air. It's like yesterday I'm reading an article. They could stay in the air for up to 8 hours, some people are saying. So even when you're talking, it could be out there. Well, we're running out of things to protect ourselves. So short of having hazmat suits, having zero human contact, what are we going to do? If you want the economy open, it doesn't mean that you hate people. If you want to shelter in place because you're worried about it, doesn't mean that you hate America, hate Donald Trump, and want to destroy the world and give in. You've got your reasons. Transparency and clarity. That's all people are looking for. Can you be transparent? Show us exactly what's going on and give it to us in a way that there's clarity there, that we have an understanding. I don't need to know, well, we'll go back to our toolbox. If I just need to know, hey, we're going to go from point A to point B. If this happens, this is how we're going to address it. People don't want surprises. They don't.
All we've heard forever, flatten the curve, make sure there's hospital beds. We're there. Now all of a sudden it's like a 180. This is like taking a cross-country flight, 6 hours. They tell you flight 6 hours. 5 hours and a half go by. They get on the intercom like, oh, just kidding, we have another 10 hours. You can't do that. People have been mentally preparing. We're doing what you ask. We've done exactly what you said. Now you're changing the rule.
Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports. When you change the rule, when you move the goalpost, when you give people hope and then hope goes away, not only does it do something to them physically, the mental aspect of it is massive. And when we do return back to some semblance of normalcy, what ends up happening is people are still in a position where they're worried about spending money, about doing certain things, and that's not going to help the economy because they don't know what the next move is going to be for you, knowing there is going to be a spike, but understanding that, hey, look, even if there's a spike, we're going to choose this path and we're going to stay on this path. That would give people at least the understanding of, okay, this is where we're going to go. I don't have to worry about being shut down tomorrow. But if you tell them there's a chance we may shut you down again, that gets in their head. And that's understandable. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me. You can text the program as well on this beautiful Friday. All right. MyPillow. PPEs. What have they done? They've switched over from the production of their MyPillow products to making masks and PPEs for hospitals, first responders. And by doing that, they want to make sure they clean out the warehouse. So they're doing a BOGO, buy one, get one free on every product. You name it, from the Supima My Pillows to the Dream Sheets to the towels, you name it. It's buy one, get one free. Made in the USA, 60-day money-back guarantee, and a 10-year warranty. Here's the beauty of this. So you go to MyPillow.com and the new radio listener special, you type in Benson, that's my code. On the way out, if you order Mike Lindell's book, which is a great read, by the way, about his life and where he's gone from hell and back, it's awesome because he's going to ship everything for free. And on top of that, he's going to give you a $25 gift card towards your next purchase at MyPillow. Go to MyPillow.com. Use code Benson. That's MyPillow.com, code Benson, and save big. Buy one, get one free. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege, please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, boo. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
It's the first time in 20 years that AAA won't be publishing a travel forecast for Memorial Day weekend. The Motor Club says it's because the accuracy of economic data used to create that forecast has been undermined by COVID-19. But it does expect fewer people will travel. Last year, 43 million Americans hit the road over Memorial Day weekend. The lowest volume of 31 million happened in 2009, toward the end of the Great Recession. AAA says it does expect to make travel projections for the late summer and fall if things are better.
If things are better. But who's traveling next week? We're off next Friday. And, of course, Memorial Day will be off. But we're not going anywhere. Normally this time of the year I'd go out and see Jack. And I was talking to my son last night. And he and I were chatting, I said to him, I said, dude, I can't come see you right now. And he goes, I know, Dad. And it's not because I worry what would happen. But or even he worries because, we would do whatever we would, we'd I don't know what is even open. California is totally different. Out here in Phoenix, we've opened up. We're doing our thing, but there it's you can't even go outside the house without a face mask on in certain cities. And when I see him, it's very interesting because even when his mom sends me videos or we talk when he's out back playing. Yeah, so I got him like a football thing where he could throw the footballs into the nets and yesterday he had his full gear on and he's out back tackling his little tackle dummy. And it's tough. I told him, you're going to be out here in like a month and you'll spend a month or so out here. And I've had him for a month because of this whole nightmare, but he's finishing up school. But his aunt had double lung transplant. So when he left my house about 3 weeks ago, he had to be quarantined for 2 weeks. And so did his mom. And his mom is having to take care of getting their groceries and everything for his aunt and grandmother, her sister and mom, because they have issues. So explaining that, to him, it's tough because I want to see him. We could FaceTime and do a lot of things. So it's crazy and it sucks. People aren't going to be traveling. These are the trickle-down effects of people not going places, not staying in hotels, not frequenting tourist stops that depend on these times of year to make it through the leaner times of year. And that's that trickle-down effect that just it's a tough situation, and you don't know what it's going to look like. Do I think we'll be here this time next year like this? No, I don't. I don't at all. But it's going to be a tough year for a lot of people. And even though they may skate by now, they look at the long-term picture, and there's a lot of people out there who are going to be unsure. And they may not feel the pain of this for a while. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Do love hearing from you. Vaccine studies, if, when, how, why. They're trying everything.
One of the things they're concerned about looking for is something called a vaccine-enhanced immune response. It has been seen in animals with other coronaviruses. That is why this timeline cannot be accelerated. Safety is a primary focus.
Dr. Jen Ashton right there talking about the vaccine and why, even though we're going at light speed, warp speed, as Kellyanne Conway has said today, the reality is you have to give several months to see how it reacts with human beings. Even if it fights off the coronavirus, but it gives you something even deadlier, it's not what you want. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Could be the testing's frankly overrated. Maybe it is overrated. But whatever they start yelling, we want more, we want more. You know, they always say we want more because they don't want to give you credit.
We want more. We want more. More. So you get more testing. Testing's overrated. Well, it's only as good as the day you've got the test. Because by the time you get the results back, you could have come in contact with numerous objects, things, walked by. It stays in the air for 8 hours. I mean, every day it's something new. You touch a handle, you touch, oh my. So the testing is in many ways only as good as that moment that you take said test. By the time you get the results back, truth is, may not be very good.
We have more cases than anybody in the world. But why? Because we do more testing. When you test, you have a case. When you test, you find something is wrong with people. If we didn't do any testing, we would have very few cases. They don't want to write that. It's common sense. So we test much more, many, many times. South Korea, you hear about?
Yeah, we do test a lot. I look at a few things when you're looking at the data. What are the hospital bed situation? So what's that? And what's the testing percentage? So if you test one day 100 people and 10 come back positive, that's 10%. The next day you test 500 people, right? So 500 people, 25 come back positive. Well, that's 5. You know, you're looking and going, oh my God, that's totally different. That's more than the day before. Yeah, but you tested 5 times as many. Oh yeah. Okay, I see where you're going with that, Chad. I see. So it's only 5% as opposed to that. Yes, that's the way it works. So what's the percentage and what's the hospital percentage? So if you have 100 beds, and out of those 100 beds, 10 are being used for COVID, that's 10%. Right? Simple. I'm just keeping it simple, stupid. So if you have 500 beds and 20 are being used for it, or 1,000 beds and 100, even though that's more, you're still looking at the percentage. Those are real hard data numbers you can look at. So what are the percentage? You test X amount of people and look at it that way rather than the cases themselves. But that's a better way of doing it than a lot of like the predicting. It could be this, it could be that. If we do it here and it could go, I don't think anybody understands. I don't think anybody gets it the way, because every single formula for these models is different than the formula before and different from this over here. And human beings have the opportunity to change their behaviors that will alter the formula as well. This thing, we don't know what it's going to do. Could it disappear completely? That is a possibility. If it's seasonal, when's the season end? When you say you're going to have X amount of deaths, what's the period of time that you're looking at? Is it over the next 6 weeks? 6 months? That's the thing. So when you want to look at stuff that at least is hard data that you can wrap your head around, try to find out what the hospital bed situation's like and what's being occupied by COVID. And then look at the percentage of people that tested positive, not the actual number. Because it's not like they're saying, well, we're going to test 5,000 a day, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. Look at the percentage. That'll give you a better understanding of how your state's doing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us and text the program. Bad news for the economy, and it's getting uglier.
The coronavirus shutdowns devastated every kind of retailer except grocery stores. Since we're all eating at home, Americans spent 13% more in supermarkets, but it seemed nobody was buying furniture, electronics, or appliances last month. And with nearly 15% of the country officially unemployed, it's unclear whether there's money to spend, even as stores and restaurants reopen.
And there's the psychological side of things of even if you reopen, could you close it down again? Not only does it worry that business owner, but it also worries somebody who potentially could be spending, who's worried that their job may go away in the second wave, or worried that now that they're back out there doing things, that even though their job may have gone away through all the things that they've gotten from the government, that they kept their head above water, but they need some stuff, and they even want some stuff. Almost 70% of our retail spending in our economy at $21.6 trillion. Almost 70% is like consumer good products. So housewares, electronics, all of this stuff that you see, that's huge. It's like when the marketplace collapsed in 2008 and the housing market went to hell in a handbasket. Why it hurt even more than recessions before is because when people were buying homes, what do you do when you buy a new home? Well, I want a refrigerator. and they wanted bigger ticket items, bigger retail items. And when that went away, it took everything with it. Well, now you've got the health aspect of this. You've got the psychological aspect of this, along with the economy aspect. So as we move forward, we ask ourselves questions like, what happens when there's a spike in this state, my state, that state? Do you close down again? What does the second close down do to the economy? And I think a second closing down is devastating, more so than even the first close down, because many business owners that I've talked to say, we'll get through the first one, but a second one, and a second one that comes out of nowhere, that is going to destroy us. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. Biden. Last night he had Stacey Abrams on. So Stacey Abrams, for those of you who don't know, she ran to be the governor of Georgia. She lost. She's held local seats. I think she held a statewide seat, but everybody really wants her to. There's just my money was on her, Gretchen Whitmire, to be his running mate. And so they did something last night. It was just so awkward and weird. She's very excited. And out of all of the people, because he's promised to pick a woman, but out of all of the people that the names are getting, bantied about, Whitmire and Kamala Harris and Klobuchar and all, Stacey Abrams is, for my money, she is the front runner along with Gretchen Whitmire. But on top of that, she is the one who is just absolutely doing everything she can to try and get the gig.
Stacey Abrams is here because Joe Biden invited Stacey Abrams to be here. Mr. Vice President, do you have an announcement to make? Is this an audition? Is there, what is the reason that you decided it's time for me to get on TV with Stacey Abrams?
Well, because Stacey Abrams has done more to deal with the fair vote and making sure there is a fair vote than anybody. And she has a great capacity to lay out exactly why it's going to be so critically important in this election.
Lawrence O'Donnell doing everything to try and get that there. Just, are you going to? I think, now, Phil, what do you think about this? Biden has him all over to his dungeon thing that he has wherever he's his bunker. So whoever he thinks. So let's just say you've got Elizabeth Warren, you've got Stacey Abrams, you got Klobuchar, you've got Kamala Harris, and who else? We need 5. Who else would be? Goodness, so we'll figure out one. He's got maybe Hillary. Should be hilarious. So you got those 5 there, and they can do all kinds of things where they go out like on dates. So they go out on a date, hang out, and they talk. You can hear the whispering. And then at the end of each episode, he gives them a rose, and the one who doesn't get the rose has to leave the Biden compound. Oh, that'd be awesome. Oh, that'd be awesome.
This president's already said when they put in the stimulus package the Congress first passed money to provide for mail-in ballots, he already said, I'm not for that. If we do that, no Republican will ever win, or something to that effect. He's made it clear. This is a guy who said he wants to defund the post office from being able to deliver ballots. I mean, so Stacey knows what she's doing, and she's an incredibly capable person.
That's what's going on there. Defund the post office. Losing lots of money at the post office. Wouldn't be a day of fun if we didn't have a Biden gaffe.
We're in the middle of a pandemic that had cost us more than 85,000 jobs as of today. Lives of millions of people.
85,000, huh? That's a lot of jobs if it costs that many jobs in a single day, just right that second. But we'll try 36.5 million. So not quite 85. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You're paying too much in interest on your credit cards. How do I know? Because the average APR is over 19%. Check out my friends over at Lightstream and quickly roll balances from multiple credit cards into a single monthly loan payment. You can get a rate as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay, much lower than that 19%. There's absolutely no fees. Application, quick, simple, easy, 100% online. If you apply early enough, you can even get your money as early as the same day. And just for being my listener, and you apply today at lightstream.com/Benson, you're going to get even a better discount, a special interest rate discount. lightstream.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
There will be likely a resurgence of COVID-19 this fall. It'll be greatly compounded by the challenges of seasonal influenza. Without better planning, 2020 could be the darkest winter in modern history.
But it could not be, too, Dr. Bright. Might not be the worst thing ever. Could be the greatest. We could see a resurgence of things we've never thought before. An explosion of excitement that riles up America. The rumblings from deep below. Or it might not be. That's always a possibility as well. Could be just a languishing, long, slow rebuild to get America back to where it needs to be. I don't know what that's going to look like, because the one thing about America that's different than other countries is the way that we govern ourselves with our 50 states. Yes, other countries have states, but not like we do. Not in the way that we have individual ownership of how that state's run. So that makes things much different. New York is going to be in a much different place, like a way, way, way different place than Phoenix. It's true. Like Iowa is going to be in a different place than California. So it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. So it's hard to say America's going to take off when parts of America are going to take off. Other parts of America, it is going to take them a longer to dig out. And you're also going to be in a situation where you've got people like Mayor Garcetti of Los Angeles saying things like,
"We've never been fully closed. We'll never be completely open until we have a cure."
We don't know if a cure is coming. No matter how fast we go, we have no idea if a cure is coming.
Today he will talk about how health professionals and the military and others, the private sector, public sector, will be fully engaged in the development of this vaccine at warp speed.
But even with the development of the vaccine at warp speed, there's still things, no matter how fast you develop it, that you have to study it over a period of time to make sure there's no adverse effects to individuals. That's what Dr. Jennifer Ashton talked about when it comes to, so we go, we find people, in some cases, they've got the challenge study, which is we're going to give you the vaccine and then we're going to infect you with this thing. So we're purposely we're not going to expose you to it. We're going to give it to you. And then you've got the other side of it, which is the, hey, we're going to give you this vaccine, and then we're going to tell you to go live your life and make sure that you go out to places where the potential for you to have exposure is real. And then we'll study whether or not you get it. And then on the other side of it is, what's the effect of the vaccine on your body? Is it negative? Is it bad? Will you explode? Will you get taller? Do you know, if I told you today you're 150 pounds and you're not going to get COVID-19, but because of this, you're going to be 300 pounds, you may double think.
One of the things they're concerned about looking for is something called a vaccine-enhanced immune response. It has been seen in animals with other coronaviruses. That is why this timeline cannot be accelerated. Safety is a primary focus.
So those are, no matter how much you want to and may have 50 vaccines ready for trials on humans and people willing to do it, there's just certain things you can't speed up. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Could good old-fashioned vitamin D be the answer? Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The quake and its aftershocks so powerful the shaking was felt around San Francisco and down into Las Vegas, but there are no reports of any damage or injuries. The epicenter was in pretty remote Nevada desert. The initial quake was a 6.2 magnitude, followed by aftershocks that were in the high 4s.
Right near Area 51. Uh-oh. And this is what Anthony said, Alien Earthquake, and that's the name of the new band we've created, Alien Earthquake, which is an awesome name for a band. Then we started going down the awesome band names that are just out there. Now, you said, was it Lindsay? Who was it? Lindsay Buckingham?
Lindsay Buckingham Palace.
Oh. Did you ever hear of a band called REO Speed Dealer?
No.
That was awesome. There's Dred Zeppelin.
I've seen Dred Zeppelin like 5 times. They're fantastic.
Yeah, they're cool. REO Speed Dealer was awesome. That's exactly what you think they are. I love that stuff. Extreme Rogers. Kenny Rogers all day hardcore. Alien Earthquake, though, screams of a movie that should be absolutely on the Sci-Fi Network. Totally does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Could it be the vitamin D?
Vitamin D is key for maintaining healthy bones. Not having enough can affect your immune system and inflammation. Now new research from Northwestern University shows patients with severe vitamin D deficiency are more likely to experience serious complications of COVID-19 and higher death rates.
Several groups we have identified which have high risk of mortality from COVID-19, such as African Americans or the elderly. Most of them do have very low levels of vitamin D.
Most of them do have very low levels of vitamin D. But there's also something else that goes with that. The obese have struggles with vitamin D. And what does a lot of that point to? Health. Being outside, being healthy, working out. When you work out, it charges up your immune system. Doesn't mean that people who aren't super healthy don't get sick. You've seen it, but it's so rare. It's like a shark attack. People ask me when I would be extremely worried about this. And I said, when you go and look at the flus of the past, the pandemics, especially the Spanish flu, it was killing healthy 20-somethings at not just it was a one-off, but it was killing 20-somethings that were in the prime of their physical life at alarming rates. That's when you go, This is killing people, as we all know, at a rate that is still too high, because we'd all love to say, well, we'd love it if nobody died. Do we really mean that? Do you really mean that? I mean, just in life in general? Of course, you shouldn't have to preface that. But it's hurting unhealthy people. I have news for you. If you're clinically obese, where you're not just 20 pounds overweight, but you're obese, you couldn't do a push-up. Tying your shoes makes you sweat. You get the flu bad, you're in trouble. The one thing is we have some things, but if we did not have a flu vaccine and we did not have a therapeutic thing to battle the flu with zithromycin, Z-Pak, if we didn't have that and you were obese, you lacked vitamin D, or you were elderly and you got the flu, you'd be in as bad, if not worse shape as this. So it separates these. Vitamin D, they talk about it. We can take some, I can take certain things and do it. It's about just not only getting outdoors, but when you're getting outdoors and you're doing certain things, chances are you're moving around. If you're moving around, that chances are you care about your health and you're trying to be in better physical shape. Things that were bad for you when you're in your 20s and 30s, as my friend explained yesterday, are now things that are deadly for you when you're in your 60s and 70s, especially with this.
While vitamin D doesn't prevent COVID-19, it may help enhance the immune system.
And prevent the immune system from overreacting to the virus, causing damage, organ damage, including lung damage.
The sun is a good source of vitamin D, and experts say many people are likely deficient coming out of a gloomy winter, in addition to spending more time indoors during the pandemic.
If a patient is vitamin D deficient, there are all the benefits to fix this problem.
He cautions against taking high doses of vitamin D, which can have negative side effects.
Yeah. Fitness is important. Like I said, things that were bad for you. So smoking, drinking in excess, eating in excess when you're in your 20s and 30s, while they were bad for you, as you get older, they become a problem. And then when something like this shows up, it becomes deadly. We've talked about it. Calories in, calories out, a little bit of exercise. That's it. Little portion control. Not the worst thing in the world. It isn't. And it's tough. I get it. But when you go and look at these numbers and as you start to break down data, and we've talked about the data, and we look at the data point over here, what about this, and who does it really affect? And, well, it's 65 plus, but then you start breaking that down. Really, it's over 70-something, and it's people who are elderly, who are sitting in an area or laying in an area where they're prone, they don't do much, they're in nursing homes, mostly assisted living places. And why that's important is we have a huge issue out here in Phoenix right now where we have another nursing home that got 70 people that were infected. Some of them were workers, but most of them were patients. But this home itself, the area, has actually done a really good job when you hear that, because they have 1,500 people that are residents there. Some of them are in an assisted living facility where they're bedbound most of the days. And a good majority of them are like in those, they're independent living. They don't need any help. There's no nurses coming in. It's just an independent living facility. That those active people that are living on their own, they've had very little issues. They've had very little issues. And the one or two people that have caught it they've recovered. It's the people that were inactive, not moving around. It's the breeding ground. And it's the same thing. I'm telling you, getting out there and supercharging your immune system and doing a workout and doing something long-term for your health, it's great. But for this, it does show you how important it is to be active. And it's not an all or nothing thing. That's what everybody thinks. Like, if I got to go on a diet, it's an all or nothing. Don't. That mindset, you failed. You failed that mindset. That sets you up for failure. You don't have to have French fries, but you can have a burger. It's not going to kill you. Right? It's not going to kill you unless you're 800 pounds and you're going to have 7 of them. Little changes, right? Get a salad one day. Don't get the bun. Get water instead of a Coke. Instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs. Go for a walk on your break rather than sit around and check out YouTube. But at the end of the day, when you're doing stuff like that, all that's doing is doing the one thing that, for all the money in the world, when we look at what's the most important currency, it's time. You can't get it back, and you're not going to purchase anymore, especially if you damage your body. And every one of us has done something stupid. I've pigged out in the past. I've overate. After years of playing soccer, I said, you know what? I did everything in my power to keep my body as solid as it was. And I did. And then when I was done, I took a couple of years where I just did not care. Pigged out, had fun, put on some weight. And now I work out every single day that I possibly can. Sometimes I got meetings, but I get up early in the morning, and I will guarantee you, even if I don't work out, there's not a day that doesn't go out where I don't try to get at least 15,000 steps in some way, shape, or form. And it does help. It does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Got some funny stuff, kids, coming up, including a comic whose Trump impression is spot on and hilarious. Plus summer camps, because summer's here. Your kids have been home, it seems like forever. Wouldn't you like to send them away? I bet you would. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
It's happening, okay? We are partially reopening Mar-a-Lago, my great property in Florida. Whites only is going to be the partial reopen, okay? And it's okay. It's not, excuse me. No, you're asking a nasty question. Racist? It's not a racist policy. I'm the least racist person in this room for health. We're not letting the groups that are getting like sicker in at first.
Comic J.L. Colvin. I don't know what else he does, but his Trump is awesome. He's not done.
And they say these communities of color, you heard this phrase? They're getting affected more, so we're asking them nicely. We're doing it very nicely. Mike, didn't I say? I said to that Mexican man to get the hell off of my Mar-a-Lago property. Please. I said please. Mike knows. I said please. Not to you. I won't say please to you. You're nasty. But we're reopening it. Mexican and black staff, they have to maintain 60 feet social distancing. But that was always the policy at Mar-a-Lago. So nothing's changed there.
Somebody's going to listen, and we're going to be laughing. And let me tell you how this goes. They'll catch a part of it. They'll tweet at me or text me what a horrible person I am. How could I spread fake news like that? Not understanding that that's a comic. People don't really do that. They do that. I always tell everybody, Orson Welles, War of the Worlds. Think about what that did to people. And there were disclaimers saying, this is War of the Worlds, brought to you by, like whatever it was back then, Ovaltine, and, H.G. Wells, and they go through all the whole thing, and then he would read it, and people are still losing their minds. So it's not that there's fake news. It should be the people who can't disseminate real news, parody, fun, sarcasm from other stuff. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. To do it or not to do it? Will you even have a chance to send your kids away to summer school, summer camp, summer outside, somewhere, please?
Outdoors and socializing is the medicine that everybody needs. We know how advantageous the camp experience is in every domain. psychologically, physically, emotionally.
Across the country, parents, children, and camp directors all wondering if a summer rite of passage will be lost to COVID-19.
I was supposed to go to sleepaway camp for the first time.
Don't do that. I saw that, and it's not a good thing. You've seen Sleepaway Camp, right, Producer Phil?
Was that the Driller Killer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it, kids.
Without any federal guidance, camps are taking direction from state and local government officials, crafting guidelines to help, recommending ideally test every camper for COVID ahead of time.
We are not public health experts. We are experts in running Camp IHC.
But whether to open camp fluctuates from state to state.
We're working on that, see if there's a way we can safely allow them to reopen in some capacity, some degree.
Camp is for some places a rite of passage. I went to soccer camps, so I never went to like camp, but I did go to sleepaway soccer camps, I guess. And that was awesome. So it's really interesting because while we learn more and there are some kids who have had some issues with COVID-19, I still think it's a good thing. Get the kids out of there, right? Get them playing. But this goes back to like they're not even sure if they're going to have school, for God's sakes. In school, what are schools going to look like in the future? People are going to be 83 feet away from each other. You're like, that sounds awful.
In states like Illinois, some camps opting not to open this season. Others, like in Connecticut, announcing day camps will open.
Sometime in July, we'll have outdoor camps. They're outdoors, smaller groups.
But sleepaway camps aren't there yet.
And if you've got children being transported from a high impact area with children that aren't, there's risk there.
From California to Maine, plans are in flux, leaving many families in limbo.
Yeah. And parents are looking for a way to get these damn kids out of their house. What are we going to do with these kids? They're driving me crazy. I think it's great. I do. I think it's absolutely great. But with all the restrictions, with all the fears, the worries, the unknowns, with you just, I don't know what you do. I just don't know how some of these camps are going to even have a chance to have kids. It sucks because parents have been fighting this battle of having to teach kids, having to do all this stuff, and you know they're already going to cancel their summer plans and they're not going to be able to go places, and vacations are done, and you know, for the kids in some places, like I talked about with my son, Jack really can't. It's not like he can go ride his bike and do a bunch of stuff outside. They've really restricted that. When they go outside now, they have to wear masks. When they go outside for a damn walk, for God's sakes, he's outside playing. Maybe you're going to have camp backyard. That's frustrating. I tell you, I get it. So we'll see what happens, but it looks like it's not going to be a good year for camping. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Tomorrow, the Bundesliga, which is the German soccer league, is the first major sports league where, while the Korean baseball league is going on, the Bundesliga is the first one to return from their hiatus, the coronavirus, and the world's watching, in particular our sports league, to see how this whole thing plays out.
When they score a goal, how do they celebrate? Where's the social distancing there? We're hearing in Korean baseball, in Taiwan baseball leagues, no spitting, no sunflower seeds. You know, what little intricacies are they trying to change? I'm hearing the coaches and the players on the bench will all have masks on. You're going to see temporary subs of 5 now, versus the mandatory 3, not mandatory, but the 3, the limit of 3 that is traditionally in soccer. So there's been a few different things to try to help it, but there's going to be all eyes on whether or not Germany can pull this off, and quite frankly, I think they do.
They might. They might pull it off. And a lot of that has to do with the way that their governments handled things in many ways. And the way that, you know, look, they've got personal responsibility and they've accepted their responsibility. And that's one of the things we need to talk about as we move forward with this thing is the personal responsibility and the freedoms of the individuals to make their own choices. You'd be surprised that most people, most of the time, will do the right thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Be safe. Have fun. We'll do it again on Monday. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.